and a very warm welcome from Homegrown. This is the second event that we've done in partnership with Phase 2. So thank you very much for joining us. So for those of you that don't know me, I am Jessica. I'm the Marketing Communications Manager at Homegrown. So Homegrown is a private members club and community for entrepreneurs, investors and business leaders, and we're based in the heart of Marylebone and part of Home House Collection. Now, very sadly, we are closed at the moment, however, due to reopen and be in the full swing of things in December. But we are growing our online community and we do a lot of virtual events, all addressing the needs of entrepreneurs and helping them to grow their business. So today we are going to be talking about social media and how you can really optimize social media to help, drive your business and get some more customers. So according to Ofcom, adults have been spending a quarter of their day online, and that's actually at a record high. So social media is a real great outlet to be focusing on to drive leads and drive business to your customers. Today we're fortunate enough to be joined by quite the panel of speakers. So we've got Elliot Zissman, who is the founder of Phase 2, and he's waving. We have got Francis Moore, who's the marketing director of InBay, and Olly Whittle, the founder of Swarm Digital. So it is an informal session, so please do put forward your questions. We have had quite a few prior to this from those in the audience, but as I say, it is an informal session, so take yourself off mute. Please ask questions in the text box. We are recording the session, so don't take too many notes. And just hopefully you can optimize on what these people have got to offer. So I will now hand over to the speakers to do a quick intro to themselves, and then we will crack on with the questions. So over to you, Elliot.
Okay, thanks, Jessica. I'm Elliot Zissman. My company's called Phase 2. We're experts in LinkedIn. That's what we do. And we use the LinkedIn platform to help clients find new business. We've been going for a couple of years. We're working with a whole range of different organizations, including IT businesses, wealth managers, accountants. Homegrown are also a client of ours as well. So I think that just goes to show that LinkedIn can be a great platform, great tool for many different people to help them grow their business. That's what we do to help.
Thank you, Elliot. Francis, would you like to tell us a bit about what InBay does and what you do there as a marketing director?
Yes, of course. Hello, everyone. My name is Francis Moore and I'm the marketing director at InBay. I essentially look after everything from social media to our events, campaigns, strategy, PR, I guess the whole suite. But I do focus a lot on social media. Our business is B2B. And essentially what we do is we provide white label services to IT companies. So it's very specific, but I guess I've worked for a number of different businesses across the UK, right through from hospitality through to the IT sector. So I've had to experience social media from B2C and B2B, and you can use it in loads of different ways. So I'm hoping today I can give you more of a general approach, being the director of a business that uses social media platforms and also outsources some of the social media as well. And not only that, but also the content side of things. So I'm really hot on content. I'd say at heart a copywriter. So I want to give you some ideas on how to put that content forward, how to position it, and how to get as much interaction as possible.
Thank you, Francis. That's wonderful. Olly, over to you, our third and final panelist.
Yeah, great. So I'm Olly Whittle, the owner of Swarm Social, which helps e-commerce sites and financial services and lead gen companies basically increase their sales using social paid advertising. So that might be across Facebook and Instagram and some Google, but I specialize particularly in Facebook and Instagram ads. I'm basically helping companies who might be already running ads, just optimize those ads to get more sales, better targeting, use all the tricks that Facebook offers, like retargeting and lookalike audiences, Facebook has pretty much been all over the place over the last couple of months. Like, its algorithms, it's changed, people's buying behaviors has changed. They're getting like black level traffic kind of every day on the platform, but people are buying different things. So it's been pretty chaotic the last few months, but yeah, it's just starting to settle down. We're going into Q4 now with, well, we are in Q4 with Black Friday and Christmas coming up. So it'd be really interesting to talk to people and see how I can help people grow their sales. Now we're coming into Black Friday in the buying period.
Thank you, Ollie. Okay, so perfect. So as I say, today's an informal session, and please feel free to ask questions. We don't have a formal presentation. It is a drop-in workshop. I am going to kick off with some of the questions that have been asked prior to us starting. So I will start off with Holly O'Leary, who I don't know if she's here as of yet. But she has asked, what tone should be used in the context of a boutique consultancy, professional or personal? And I'm going to hand this one over to Frances as marketing director. So go for it.
So did you say a beauty consultancy or boutique?
Yes, boutique.
No, that's fine. Okay, absolutely fine. So actually, because we got these prior, I've actually had a look at the website. And just tried to get an understanding of what you do, because it always helps. But I would suggest, based on what you're trying to achieve, what you're selling and what you're doing, that it's mostly a professional approach. Although I guess because of everything that's happening at the moment, everyone, I think a certain percentage has to be personal, because at the end of the day, people buy people. So they buy into people and what you do. So I definitely say, I'd use LinkedIn for a professional side of things. Obviously, we like the odd bit of personal on LinkedIn, but I think me and Elliot had a chat the other day about this actually, and we've got, we don't really want people putting their birthdays and things on there, because we've got, I've got 2,000 people I follow on LinkedIn, and I don't want, probably 20 of them to say it's their birthday on that day. But I think when I mean personal, I mean more if you're doing any charity work, how you feel about, helping the environment. If you're doing anything specifically on, like Black Friday, like you say, and those sorts of things, you can make it personal in that regard. But I would majority make it quite professional for your specific business type. That's what I'd say.
Yeah. No, I think I'd agree.
Yeah.
Elliot, do you have anything to add?
Well, I would say, just picking up on that, it's exactly right. And I think there's a difference between showing your personality and being personal. Right, so trying to get your personality through, so long as obviously you've got a good personality. If otherwise, try and hide it. But it's not. You don't have to be too formal and rigid. You can be, you can be yourself. But yeah, you don't. I don't need to know all my contacts' birthdays. I'm not going to wish someone I don't know happy birthday. It's that verges on the kind of it's just going a bit too far, in my view. And there's other things which. So yeah, I would sort of echo Frances's comments there.
Thank you. Okay, we're now going to move on to Scott Wingrove, who again I haven't seen if he is here or not. I'm going to pose this question to Elliot. How are you best presenting yourself on LinkedIn? Because quite often, and I think we can all say something similar. We've all seen now on LinkedIn, Gordon Ramsay did it 2 days ago. He was talking about his daughter was talking about his birthday. So people have become a lot more relaxed on LinkedIn of what they're posting. Whereas 5 years ago, it was very professional. It was what's coming up, what are market trends and things like that. And now people are going, oh, I went to this restaurant on LinkedIn, which is just not exactly social content that you would have seen on LinkedIn prior. So your thoughts on that, Elliot?
But it's very similar to the previous question, I suppose, in that, and the word I've been using and what many people use is about being authentic, right? Be yourself, come across, and there's some posts going around, and I haven't done my one yet. I think Jessica, you advised me not to at one point, which was interesting, just looking at your own photo on LinkedIn, because I think there's a lot of people that have, and myself included on LinkedIn, very smart formal one without, jacket on, maybe a tie, done in a photographer's studio about 2 or 3 years ago, because that was the thing. And now we're all working at home. and not all of us, but I can see all, I'm looking at the screen here and see everyone's kitchen, or not everyone, most people's as well. And we're all very relaxed, we're ourselves. And guess what? We're all still as professional. And people, as Francis said, want to do business with people. They want to know who you are. So you've got to be authentic. You do need to, and you can still be professional. Yeah. I'm not sitting here, still managed to put a shirt on. And yes, we know there's probably a pair of boxer shorts, pajamas, but, and I guess the words would be, on LinkedIn, don't be too Facebooky, and on Facebook, don't be too LinkedIn-y. There's different platforms that are surviving for different reasons. Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and TikTok are all there for different use cases. I don't post on TikTok that often.
And that's a good point, actually, Elliot, because for my business, I run an IT business, and we do not post on Instagram, TikTok. We only focus on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, because that is where our audience is. So there's no point in posting on all these different platforms. You really have to focus on what is your target audience, where are they, and what are they, what are they engaging with, which sites. So otherwise, there's literally, you're just wasting your time. So just make sure that you're posting on the right platforms for the right people, for about the right things.
Olly, how do you find that? So on Facebook, I just said about LinkedIn, don't be too Facebooky, but both Francis and myself advertise on Facebook. So how do you find the messaging that people come across on Facebook different?
Yeah, so I kind of find actually that, you talked about demonstrating your personality, but not necessarily getting too personal. But so before I did running advertising campaigns for company, I was actually running their profiles in the early days, like 10, 11 years ago or so. And unfortunately, the content that got the best reaction was sort of behind the scenes of companies. So when you were being personal, and when you were sort of talking about what employees did, what their hobbies were and stuff like that. And that often did much better than even running like a competition or like a massive discount, because people are intrinsically nosy and they want to know kind of more about the company, and they want to know what people are doing, the sort of reality TV type thing. And I don't necessarily mean that you have to go that far, but it does demonstrate that people's interests are behind, what's going on behind the company. And obviously you can cap that at a certain level of how far you can go. But
still be professional, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But
no, I have to agree with, I do have to agree with that. You look at Victoria Beckham, and she's got such a huge following, but the posts that she does about her family rather than her business or her next, release in her fashion brand, always outweigh what she's doing in her business. So anyway, just something to think about.
Yeah, but Jessica, I would say Victoria Beckham's brand is, her family is part of her brand, right? So she can probably get away with it more than I could. I would suggest. She's a bit more famous. And I think it is, but I think letting people in behind the scenes of your company is still professional enough, as long as it's not ridiculous there. But it enables you to sort of engage a lot more with your business. So it's an interesting point from Olly there.
Yeah, and a lot of particularly the YouTube marketing gurus, the videos that get the best responses of when they've got their iPhone and they're just walking around the house, because people want to see their houses, they want to see how they live. And I know it's got silly now with all the bling bling stuff as well, but people engage with it because they feel like it is literally in their living room. So it is that balance between personal and professional, but it's the personal which I feel does draw people in.
It's a weird one, isn't it? I guess it depends what business you have, because as from an IT business, that wouldn't work for me, but B2C maybe.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
We're now going to move on to Simon Fallon here. Hi, Simon. Lovely to see you again. So Simon started up a digital platform in executive search. I think it was just before we launched Homegrown, actually. So probably about a year and a half ago. Correct me if I'm wrong. His question to the panel is, do I figure this out myself or should I hire in an expert? And I'm going to go to Francis on this one to start with.
Yes, no, that's fine. So I guess you have to meet, okay, so I guess from my side of things, what I tend to do is start off with looking internally and seeing whether or not I have the resources in order to deliver. And also not only that, do I have the capacity to do it? So do I have somebody that knows what they're doing, and does that person have the capacity to deliver that? Because, for example, I run the marketing for all of InBay, and I do a lot of, I'm predominantly a copywriter, so I do all the content for all of our social, whether that's Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. I do all the graphics, all the social, all the link backs, all the blogs, the news, all of that. But you know what? There comes a time when you have to pass it over to the experts. And we actually do a marketing campaign through LinkedIn with Phase 2, and they do direct in-mails for us. And I've written the content for it, but I've used an external agency for a specific type of marketing. And to be honest, we're also looking into getting an agency in to do our paid advertising, because it really is hard to, you can't do everything. So, and there are, there's certain, well, they're just experts in that field. It's an absolute minefield, paid advertising. I wouldn't even know where to start. We had a campaign that was working last month. I'm not afraid to say that we hired somebody that just did not know what they were doing. We lost a lot of money. So I would suggest you definitely do your due diligence and make sure you get the right person in that knows your actual business and who you're trying to target. And so I would definitely say, if you can do it in-house, great, but bear in mind the experts are experts for a reason, and it does pay off. It really does.
So can I just quickly pose this question back to Simon, because obviously heard a bit about your company before. Are you doing any paid advertising or doing anything with an agency at all, or is it all in-house?
No, I don't. It's interesting because, just by way of background, I was a headhunter in the city. It was a very corporate, very consultancy oriented, no more than a brochure online. Having launched this digital platform, it's to try and disrupt my market. It's just led me into this. I've only ever had a LinkedIn page that was effectively a brochure. I've not really done anything other than I connect with my network. I sell to clients who hopefully will give me, work, and and we try and find the best candidates. But it's just a very new way of doing it. I've never really put myself out there on any of the social networks. And so
how are you getting the majority of your leads then?
Just through from being a headhunter for 20 years. But that's different now. It's different now because the platform's not me. I'm trying to build a brand. And I need to figure out, not got huge amounts of money. So I've bootstrapped this myself. And so I'm trying to figure out, am I going to invest in perhaps someone with maybe a couple of years marketing experience, maybe not even full time, but somebody to come on board and really try and help me connect with the audience via the social platforms. But, again, TikTok, things like that are relevant. Insta, no. But Twitter, LinkedIn, undoubtedly. Twitter, possibly. But it's very, I think it's probably more aimed at the LinkedIn business owner. But I just need to know what I should be saying, how I should be saying it, presenting it. And I guess I'm just lacking that little bit of expertise.
Can I ask who you'd ideally be targeting on the platform? So
we're a members only platform. So basically we screen the talent so that we only have, if you like, the best candidates on the platform. So we're ring fencing that talent. And so we are trying to target, it's HR professionals, and it's probably from around the 80, 100K plus level in terms of base salary. And on the client side, it's, if I look at my board here, they're all Fortune 500, FTSE 1, 250 companies. And I'm trying to ultimately recruit both their CPOs and their HR leadership teams.
Okay, so in terms of like the sort of ads or the, what you're trying to put out there, are you trying to speak to the companies or the like people looking for the jobs?
Well, ideally, I mean, driven really by the companies. It's very much client driven. So it's CEOs and CPOs of big businesses looking to recruit top talent in HR.
Okay. So just thinking about some of the targeting that I know is available in like Facebook and Instagram, the CEO one's quite difficult because a lot of people put that they're CEO of companies when these companies can be, you know, pretty small, you know, even just themselves. So I found in the past that targeting isn't always very accurate. What you can do to make it a bit more accurate is try and put in some like filters and, you know, exclusions and stuff, so that then you are trying to target who you want to. But what that does sometimes as well is also make the audience so small that Facebook struggles to like really get going and optimize on that kind of stuff. But what you might find better is just kind of doing a more sort of a wider approach, just to try and get the people onto your website, and then run like retargeting ads, so that you're actually then serving that ad back to the people who are most interested. You could do it by like time spent on the site, for instance, so that, you know, if they've bounced straight off the site, then you know that it wasn't what they wanted to see. But if they spent a bit of time on the site, then you know that they're starting to sort of digest some of the information. So that's just one possible thought on how you could run ads from that point of view. But I'm sure Elliot's got some suggestions from the LinkedIn side which might be more appropriate.
Okay, cheers, Ollie. Thank you.
I think on LinkedIn, you can, I think the targeting is probably a lot easier. Yes, you still get this challenge where someone's an owner of a certain company and it may be pretty small, but you can change. If you use a tool called Sales Navigator on LinkedIn, I'm sure, I think the recruitment version probably has it as well. You can change the sizes of companies you're looking to hit. I think the key thing here is, and I'm pretty sure this question is going to come up elsewhere because I can see the chat box as well. It's about what you say to them when you reach out to them. Yeah, it's not the opportunity to do a sales pitch. Yeah. This is I always describe it to people, and I'm sure it's a pretty obvious thing, is as if you're walking into a face-to-face networking session, a cocktail thing. Not that there's a cocktail receptions anymore, but you know what I mean. And you introduce yourself and you say, you know, this is what I do, this is how I help people. And the aim is simply to get the conversation started. You don't need to go full sales pitch. And that's something that I always try and encourage my clients and us to do, to just be a bit more helpful on things. So it's about the messaging on LinkedIn is really important when you're direct messaging people.
Yeah.
There's loads more I can say about that, but I'll wait for Jessica to sort of give us the steering.
No. I'm going to move this along because that's really helpful, and hopefully that's helped you, Simon. Obviously, very happy to connect everyone after this call as well. So if you've got any further questions, you can hit them up to the speakers direct. I'm going to go to the live chat now. So Gary Coulton says, "Hi, I'm being inundated with hopeful LinkedIn connection requests and knee-jerk pitches when I accept," which is obviously your sales navigator kicking in. "Could this eventually undermine LinkedIn's value and become a push selling platform?" And I'm going to go straight away to Elliot, as this is his bag.
This is my area, yeah. So, hi, Gary. Hello, there you are. I think so there's a couple of things here. First of all, when you talk about knee-jerk pitches, are you talking about the moment you accept, then all of a sudden a message comes up, right?
Yes.
So this is a really weird thing that LinkedIn, how it works, is that if you put a message in when you send an invite to someone, right, then you don't actually really see that message on invitation until someone accepts it. And then that message comes up, which is the wrong way around, because the invite message should be, "Hi, I'd like to connect with you because we're in the same industry," or blah, 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 whatever it may be. You don't really get to see it until you hit accept, and then it pops up straight away. So it's not an auto thing from anyone really typing quickly. It's simply how LinkedIn gives you the option of writing copy in the invite up to 250 or 300 characters.
Oh, it's not quite, that's not what's happening. I'm fine if somebody puts a message in, many don't, but they're using the automated versions of a hello message, which does annoy me a little bit.
Yeah.
As soon as you accept, they send you a sales pitch. Now, I don't mind. I understand that people are really pressured at the moment and they want to get a sale. But I don't know what to do with it. And I think it's happening so much now that it's going to devalue LinkedIn if something doesn't change.
So yes, you're completely right. And LinkedIn are definitely taking steps to try and reduce this kind of thing. That said, full disclosure, we do have automated systems ourselves. So, yes. but the content is key. You can't go in, and I was talking to someone earlier today, it was like, why, you know, is like, why isn't this working for me? And I looked at the stats that he had from his platform, and it was, you know, I think 5% of people were accepting his invite and 0% responding. And it's like, because you're just launching straight into a sales pitch they don't know you, they haven't built trust with you. And this goes back to marketing 101. I can't walk into I couldn't meet you in the beautiful halls of homegrown, just go straight up to you and say, Gary, the reason you want to speak to me is that, you know, this, that, and that, here's the benefit I can bring, here's my card. If you're interested, come and chat. I mean, like, what? You'd be like, who the heck are you? So by all means, introduce yourself. And this is really what, you know, this is the way LinkedIn need to fix this, because obviously LinkedIn don't want to be like this.
No, they do not.
They do try, there's a whole load of cheap automation tools that are Google Chrome extensions and all this kind of stuff that they know about, right? And so if you use one of them, you get a little letter on email from LinkedIn saying, please stop. You also, if you're connecting to too many people with that and not having a high enough acceptance rate, they will also put you in what's called LinkedIn jail, which means then you need to enter someone's email address. So if you're like, I don't know, no one knows the exact stats, but I think it's about 10% or maybe 15% of people, if that's the kind of acceptance rate you're getting, they'll send you an email saying, please, can you only connect to people you've met and know, which obviously isn't.
So have any of you ever been into LinkedIn jail?
No.
So,
what a question.
So there is a way out of LinkedIn jail, by the way. Really? Just slow things down. Yeah. I mean, you just then have to connect to people with their email for a little bit, maybe a couple of days, sort of cool the jets, and then go at it again. Because we all need to meet new people, right? We all need to grow our businesses, but it's all about the copy. It's all about what you say to someone.
I think on that note, we'll go on to John's question, John Nash, which is, what type of messages should you be putting out on LinkedIn to prospects?
Is that another one for me? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll do my little bit and then hand over to a couple of other people as well. Introductory, helpful, invite some things that a lot of you are here because we've invited you via a LinkedIn message to something that I'm guessing you found of interest and use, right? This is allowing us to start the conversation with you, right? Jessica, Ollie, Francis, to some extent, maybe, you know, we've all done the same kind of thing. So to me, the kind of things after you've introduced someone, after you've introduced yourself, is to say, look, I've just put together this white paper on blah, 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 or this case study, which I thought you might find of interest, right? We're running this event. Would you like to come along? Yeah, you can use LinkedIn's targeting and to make sure that message hits the right people. And if it's of interest to them, they'll come along. And if it's not, they won't. What you want to try and avoid, again, is going back to this overly salesy stuff, whereby salespeople, and I look at some of the names of people I know, like Guy here. Yeah, I mean, How many times have I get a message saying, oh, let's have a quick, here's my calendar, let's have a 15-minute chat. I can't accurately understand your requirements and explain my value proposition in 15 minutes. Guy, maybe you as an expert salesperson, I don't know why I'm looking at you for this one, sorry, and you're on mute, you're welcome to go off.
Pressure. Thanks, Elliot.
What's that, sorry?
I'd agree with you that, so just for, I specialize in business-to-business sales and have done for 35 years. So I just concur really with everything Elliot's saying, actually, that it's all...
Can you turn your volume up a bit, if possible?
Can you hear that now?
Yeah, better.
So I just concur with everything Elliot said. You know, when I outreach to people for my clients, I'm actually outreaching to very few people, because I research them first and find out the problem they've got even before I outreach to them. So there are lots of clients out there saying it's all about contacting people. It's all about phoning as many people as possible. It's all about linking in with. It's not. Well, it is if you want to waste money. It's actually you research a very small number of people heavily, find out the problem they've got even before you reach to them, and you say, I think you've got this problem which we can solve. And it's as basic as that, but which is, I think, exactly what Elliot is saying.
To some extent, yeah, I do think there's different, I think that depends a lot on the value of the product you're selling or the service you're offering. I think for some people, there will be more, it's a lower value solution, not lower value, lower priced solution. And hence they do need to go broader. And that's maybe where automation kicks in a bit more than the personalized way you do it. But the point is still that you're right in that you want to add some value in some way, and it's a cheesy expression, but you've got to build trust. What was the question again? About messages? What type of messages? Yeah.
What should you be targeting somebody with a direct message that is a lead? What should you be?
Something that builds trust and enables you to start a conversation. Yeah, because that's all you need to do. You can't go further than starting a conversation over social media. At some point, you have to take it offline, on a phone call, a Zoom meeting, a face-to-face meeting, on those stuff. Again,
I'd definitely say you're giving away some free advice. So when you position that by saying, I don't know, 7 ways to secure this, or the ultimate guide to this, or did you know, or top 5 reasons to use X, but at least you're giving them something that isn't salesy. It just helps them with their business.
And I found the word curious.
Simon wants to quickly say something. Was that you, Simon?
Yeah, that was me. Sorry. I just wanted to come back to Elliot on something you said earlier on, specifically about this sort of thing about getting on to people and kind of pitching in 15 minutes and that sort of thing. To be honest, you're dead right. You can't do that sort of thing. You can't get on and deliver an entire sales pitch in 15 minutes. What I've quite often, in the past, the sort of things that I have done, I've actually said to clients, look, I tell you what, why don't we have a chat, whether it, in the old days, face-to-face, or nowadays online, and let's do it over 20 minutes, half an hour, which again is not enough to give a pitch. But if anything, the first thing that I'd look to do is very much like what you said, I guess, that would be to try and build a relationship and probably learn more about them than, just trying to pitch whatever I've got. That was my sole point.
Gary, I think, was wanting to say something as well.
The most powerful word I've managed to come up with is let's have a curiosity meeting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Rather than getting to say, are you interested? And that's the positive results from that have been brilliant. The other thing I do is if somebody, we connect, I've recorded a very short hi video. Hello, this is what I'm looking for out of our conversation. If this fits with you, let's make arrange a meeting. Again, the acceptance rate to have a meeting after that, just a meeting of minds, is about 80 to 90%.
Impressive.
That's really good. That is really good. I think video content's amazing. Obviously, it costs a little bit more to produce, but I think And like with Homegrown, we've never done it before, but these like 360 tours and things that estate agents are using, why aren't we using them in the hospitality sector and private members club sector? But we will be relaunching our website, so we can do that. I'm going to move away from LinkedIn quickly and go on to Luke Barnett, who has asked, has Instagram become more of an effective marketing tool than Facebook for selling products, or both as effective as each other? And I would like to hit Ollie with that one.
Yeah, okay. So in terms of the ads, whether Facebook or Instagram, which one's better, it has to be totally dependent on who you're targeting. So to give you 2 examples, I'm running some ads for a footwear company, and it's targeting women 45 and over, and 95% of their sales are via Facebook, even though we're targeting Instagram. On the flip side, we're running some ads for children's sustainable tableware, and that's women about 35 to 55, and that's 95% Instagram purchases, even though we're running ads across both of them. So it's completely dependent on where your target audience is, so, and kind of their age and their behavior. So yeah, if you're able to tell me like what the target audience is, I can give you a sort of a rough idea where you might best be placed to.
We've got Luke with us here at the moment. Luke, if you do want to let us know, then do shout. But also, I think Francis has got something to add to that as well.
No, I was just going to say, I am that person that's buying those products. When they said, oh, it's children's, like, you know, sustainable furniture and stuff, that's me. So they've nailed it. I'm always on Instagram buying stuff like that.
Well, my partner's really funny because she's like, oh yeah, you know, I don't use Facebook. They won't get me. You know, I don't go on it at all. And then something turns up at the door. I'm like, where'd you get that from? She's like, oh, Instagram ad. I'm like, it's the same thing. It's the same company. It's the same ads. Like.
Whereas I don't think Elliot even has an Instagram account.
Oh dear.
No, I don't see the point.
I'm going to pose this one to Francis quickly. So what are the key things? Sorry, this is from Samir, and I haven't seen if Samir is here or not. So what are the key things to take into consideration when you plan, execute and review marketing strategy on social media for small businesses that are just starting? So how do you really?
Okay, so first of all, I'd Google the SOSTAC marketing model, and it will essentially allow you to plan a whole strategy out, but it means situation, objective, strategy, tactics, action and control. There's loads of blogs and things about it, but it will allow you to work towards a framework. But if you are starting out and you're doing, you want to start out on social, what I would say is you need to start creating your persona first and foremost. So who is your target audience? And I would definitely recommend using a site called extensio.com. They are, it's XTENSIO. It's a platform that you can build personas on. And when you build a persona, what I mean by that is you have to look at your target audience goals, fears, motivations, age, what they'll be doing, what their interests are, what their just everything you could possibly think of about them, and then you can target your social media ads and content around their specific needs. So that's one of the first things I do, because you need to start with the end in mind. Like, who are you targeting? That is your main goal first and foremost. I'd also look at following your competitors. So follow your competitors and see what sort of things they're posting. But also I'd start following platforms businesses that you think are like nailing their social media and you'd like to be like them, because they will give you ideas. And then I guess you could also, the next thing for me would probably be looking at platforms that you can schedule your posts. So because that will just help you out, because you'll be able to see exactly what's going out where, what content you're sending.
Do you have a platform to recommend on that?
we actually have a system called Hootsuite that we use, but that's more B2B. I have in the past used Hootsuite. I don't know if you've got any that you'd recommend, Ollie.
I was just trying to remember the one. I thought you were going to ask that. What was the older one called? It was Hootsuite, and there was another one.
Oh no, I can't remember. I used to use it. I don't know.
That was the one I used to use.
Yeah, but it is good, and you can obviously add in all of your Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, everything, and you can send the same posts. You can like amend the post to go out on all those platforms and schedule them out, which are great. And then I guess there's also you'll probably know more about this, but there's something called Facebook Pixel, where you can put code on your website to see where your traffic's coming from. So I'm sure there's other pieces of code from different platforms whereby you can put it on your site and work out exactly where your social media traffic is coming from. We use HubSpot for that, but it's great to get an understanding of where everything's coming from. But on top of that, you can do your lookalike. You were talking about that earlier, weren't you, Ollie?
Yeah.
And that really does help, because you can then remarket to people. I'll let you speak a little bit more about that, Ollie, but that's where I'd start. It's quite a lot.
Just before you start, Ollie, just to quickly add, we are actually being streamed live on Facebook at the moment, which is our first homegrown event that we've ever done on Facebook Live, so that's quite exciting. But you've got all these, opportunities to work with Facebook Live, LinkedIn Live, Instagram Live, which we do quite a few of going forward as well, which people will just click on and off to. So even if people are coming on for 30 seconds, they're still getting exposure to you on LinkedIn as a live feed. So that's obviously something to look at as well. Anyway, over to you, Ollie.
So one part I definitely agree with is just following loads of like competitors, and they don't necessarily always have to be competitors. It just might be people just doing good like social content, because it'll give you loads of ideas, and it'll show you how they're sort of leading up to like particular events, whether it be like Black Friday, for instance. And just sort of taking those ideas and putting your own twist on it. And then from an ads point of view, you can also see what ads they're running. So you can't see what targeting they're doing, but from a creative point of view, you can go onto their Facebook page, then you go down to the left and it's got page transparency. Then you'll get a pop-up, and then there'll be a bar that says they are currently running ads, and then you click on that and it'll take you through to the ads library, and it'll show you all the ads that they're running. So you can get an idea for the types of messaging they're using, the types of creatives. And what you want to do is see how long those ads have been running. So if those ads have been running a day, it doesn't really tell you much, because they might fail and they'll be turned off tomorrow. But if those ads have been running for a month, then it demonstrates that as an effective, profitable ad. And therefore you want to run something similar. And also the other thing to do from content, but particularly ads as well, is follow the big companies. So for instance, like Nike, McDonald's, it's not the marketing team that typically are running those ads, it's Facebook themselves. So Facebook actually go in and run those ads. And what they're doing is they're using all of the data and knowledge and implementing it into those big brands. So however they're running their ads, run similar ads, because it's being based on what's effective. So one thing I'm seeing at the moment is it used to be really popular to run like a minute, like 45 second to a minute videos. Like all of the big companies now are running much shorter 10-second, 15-second videos. And there's a reason they're doing that, obviously, because it's converting better and it's more engaging. So do a similar thing. So yeah, following other companies is definitely a good idea.
So just a very quick one from me is we, and even ourselves as a company, we're trying to look at where are you best placing your budget for running sponsored ads. Is it Facebook? Obviously, Facebook is a little bit more cheap, is a little bit more, reasonable than running LinkedIn sponsored ads, which is quite expensive. Or are you best doing sponsored ads on Instagram? Where would you say?
So basically it depends, I guess, where your audience are most active and where you're getting the best engagement. So you know,
LinkedIn is quite significantly more expensive though.
yeah, massively more expensive. So it's why a lot of lead gen companies are now running ads on Facebook, because it's cheaper traffic and cheaper acquisition. I think it's just a matter of a little bit of testing and weighing up like what the costs are to convert that lead and how the quality of that lead as well.
Okay.
It massively depends again on age, and like, you know, we talked about CEOs, for instance, earlier. They're not going to be on, you know, CEOs earning 80 plus K, not really going to be on that active on Facebook. But could be on Instagram, to be honest. So yeah, it's just kind of weighing that up.
I'm going to go on to Maria now. So Maria says, hi, I've co-founded a B2C mobile app food tech company. We're very early stage, going into private beta tests this week. We're planning a social media, Instagram and Facebook launch campaign for January 2021. I'm wondering if you'd be able to share some industry-wide KPIs which we could use in order to benchmark our ad performance against, i.e. what is a good rate of conversion of a Facebook ad to website, etc. So just some KPIs really. And shall we put this one out to Ollie to start with?
Okay, so KPIs in terms, right, I'll give you KPIs in terms of e-commerce, which I know off the top of my head. So like average conversion on a website is 2.5%. So anything above that, then you're doing well. 5%, you're doing really well. I very rarely see anything over 5% conversion over a consistent level. Like you might get 7% on one day and it'll drop down, but over like a month or so, probably about 5%. In terms of like cost per clicks, again, giving you an example for e-commerce, you're probably looking at about 25 to 50 pence. As soon as you're hitting like £1, you need to turn those ads off. For lead gen, you're probably it's probably costing you about £1 per click. In terms of click-through rates, you want to make sure you're checking like all the stats. So when I say for click-through rates that you want to be about 1% and plus, if you've got a profitable ad that's, you know, returning 400% return on ad spend and, you know, you're making money from it, then obviously don't turn it off. That's one of the last stats that you want to check. But in terms of KPIs, you want to be hitting over 1% click-through rates. And then average cost of a app download, this is a bit of a guess off the top of my head, but I think it's about like £2 or £3. But I would need to check that for, yeah. So hopefully that's some KPIs. Like,
yeah. Yes, thank you very much for sharing. That's very helpful for us because we have no idea, you know, how to judge if it's successful or not. So that's been great. Thank you.
Okay, cool, great.
Francis, Elliot, I think you've got something to add.
Well, it was going to address a slightly different point from earlier about sometimes when you should use sort of outside help and stuff like that, and listening to Olly and the kind of information you can get from someone that is just immersed in that world is amazing, from understanding when Facebook themselves are running ads and what length they should be, through to a really important thing is what good looks like. Yeah. And understanding when all of us are advertising, if we're all on our own and doing it internally, the only experience we have is of what we've done often. But when you can bring in some outside help in certain areas, you get to understand if that's good or if that's not good. I can tell you, for example, from a LinkedIn point of view, that when you're inviting people to connect with you, you want to be getting more than 20% of people and accept your invite. And of those people, you want 20% of those to reply, engage in some way. It's easy to remember. It's the 2020 thing. Next year it will go up. But yeah, that's to me was what good looks like. But most people don't measure that kind of thing anyway. But yeah, dipping into outside help to get that kind of expertise, I think is really valuable. That's what I wanted to say on that one.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm now going to move on to Nicola King, and I think Nicola is here. So she had left a big corporate and was leading an expansion plan in an independent boutique wealth management company, and would like better use of social media for her profile. How would she go about just really bettering her profile? Can I quickly just start this? I always say a LinkedIn pod is amazing. A LinkedIn pod. So if you're in a LinkedIn pod, whatever post you put up, obviously you're in a pod and it's normally about 15 to 30 people and they will all like your post. So immediately you're getting 100 more views that you would prior to that. So that kind of gives you a boost. But Elliot, over to you.
I thought you were going to answer that, Jessica, as a former wealth manager yourself, as to giving advice on what to.
Wow. I'm not a speaker, I'm just the moderator.
So I would, to me, your social profile is something that, and it doesn't have to just be your LinkedIn profile, it can be all sorts of other social media profiles as well. Because often, and I think we sort of asked this question a few times, it's like, who are you looking to speak to? Wealth managers could be speaking to all sorts of different individuals. Is there a particular, there you are, Nicola, I'm now looking at you on the screen. Not that you know it. Yeah, who are you trying to talk to? How do you benefit them? And the third thing I always ask is, why should they believe you? If you can succinctly answer those questions, and we can talk about it now if you wish, then you're certainly, from a LinkedIn point of view, your profile itself should talk about that. The title, the headline should address, obviously not just put your name. I recommend, don't just put I'm a director of ABC company, but use that headline to say, I help people approaching retirement to plan for the future, or whatever it may be. Yeah, something as specific and focused as possible, and then use the About Us section to really drive that message home. Because two reasons. First of all, when people are getting your LinkedIn connection, that bit comes up, so it will encourage them to accept more readily if it's targeted at them. And secondly, the way I see your LinkedIn profile is that it's in two halves. You've got the top half is what I call the salesy half. Yes, I know, I said don't be too salesy in your outbound messages, but it's okay there. People have clicked onto your profile. Sell yourself. Say, this is who I help, how I help them, and why you should believe me, using case studies and videos and About Us section, all that stuff. The bottom half of it is your CV, the below the fold, and that is where you show off a lot more of your experience. So that's how I would design a LinkedIn profile, that kind of thing. So who are you looking to help and how do you help them? So does that answer from a LinkedIn point of view?
If I could just add to that as well, really, I think if you're commenting on a lot of other people's posts as well and engaging with them, it builds more of a personality, and then that is then showed in your activity. So that does help also.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Just a quick fire round, really, is I'd like to propose to the three panelists your top 5 tips for startups with a minimal budget and what they can do in terms of promoting their company more and getting more lead gen through social media. So Olly, over to you, top 5 tips. Short and sweet.
Top 5 tips. Okay, 1, in terms of ads, know your targeted return on ad spend. A lot of companies are blowing money, but not actually sure what their break-even point is, etc. 2, do a short video.
Yeah. 3,
make sure that you check, like, your text needs to be really engaging, and they say that the text and creative is like 80% if why someone clicks on your ad, and they've changed the text so that, oh, this is getting long now. So make sure it fits in right. make your like headline engaging. 4, 5, just be able to read the data, know your numbers. Like, so it's going back to the ROAS thing, but numbers is massive. Like, loads of companies just don't even like think about it. I think that's 5.
That's fine. Okay.
5 models.
Answers. Hopefully also a bit shorter than Ollie's.
I know. Okay, so I guess from a B2B sort of point of view, because that's where I specialise, I would say if you're starting out, research your competitors. I've probably covered a bit of this, but make sure you look at content from people that you think are great and reuse that content throughout your marketing. I'm trying to remember the address. I will remember. I'll make that my 5th one. I'll remember. But there's a place that you can go to put in. It's called answerthepublic.com, and definitely go on there and type in anything to do with your business. For example, if you want to push out some good content. So if I want to put out a security blog, you can go on there, put it in, and then it comes up with what everyone is talking about at the moment and which one ranks the highest. So you can use that. That's the best way to push your content out and get some good titles out of there. I'd also say you definitely need to know your audience, create a persona. And number 5, I would say work out what a lead is worth to you. So I would work out how much money you want to make extra in the year. So let's just say it's £100,000, and then work out how many customers you need in order to hit that target. So you're working backwards. Once you've worked out you need 20 customers, let's say, you know that a customer is worth that to you. What are you willing to spend on marketing to get that customer in?
Thank you. They were great. And by the way, guys, we will share this as well. We'll summarize it in an email, then obviously send it over. So, I mean, I'm sure you're not taking that many notes, but don't take too many notes. Elliot, over to you.
Jessica, I was actually going to thank you for hosting, but I'm now going to thank you for launching a question on the 3 of us that none of us have managed to prepare for, despite our preparatory meeting. So thanks for that. There's definitely of the 5 things, and luckily I'll go third. I've got a bit more thinking time. I definitely think one overlaps between 3 of us, but I would say it would be the following. If you're a startup, from a sales perspective, this is what I would say. I'd say, first of all, start your business by getting a few referrals. Sales to friends or existing contacts is the easiest and best way to get going. You'll get great feedback very quickly. Secondly, do some direct outreach, cold outreach if necessary, using, I would say LinkedIn, but email, phoning. And the more you do it yourself, again, you'll be starting to understand your customers more. Thirdly, this is when I would sort of just take a quick pause after you've got some success there to really understand, is your product the right fit for the market that you're targeting? What do you need to adjust? Is it the market? Is it the product? Is it the market? What's the feedback you're getting? Take a pause. Fourthly is what I think the other 2 have said, and I've said in my words, work out your target CAC, your cost of acquiring a customer. Until you know that what a customer is worth to you, you look at the lifetime value of the customer, the cost you want to spend on marketing that gives you the cost of acquiring a customer. You can then, I think as Francis said, work it up. So I know that I now close 1 in 4 deals. I've got £1,000. I'm going to spend £1,000 to acquire this customer. I close 1 in 4 deals. So in each opportunity is worth 250 quid. Leads convert to all these things. Know those numbers. And then fifthly, finally, scale up with advertising at that point. Because at that point, you know what you can afford to spend on a cost per click basis, because you've got all the metrics, all that kind of thing. So the advertising comes last. Start off with getting referrals and get going that way. Get feedback. Those are my thoughts.
I'd just like to quickly add to that, and I think it's more poignant now than ever. Do something for good, and it's not necessarily giving back to a charity, but I know that Elliot tries to help people find jobs through his lead generation. And, you know, there's so many people that are a bit lost. We're all here on this particular call because hopefully we're able to drive some lead generation through social media, through LinkedIn, whatever. But there are so many people that don't know what they're doing. They've been in big corporate jobs for 20 plus years. They've never needed to do lead generation on LinkedIn. They've never needed to be, you know, an Instagrammer, an influencer. So I think at the moment, try and give back to people that aren't necessarily they haven't lost their job, but they're in a different circumstance because they've been put on furlough. They're not in their usual team meetings or whatever. So I think that's quite important too. So I don't know, right, so quick thing from Gary. He has said, can the panelists share all these brilliant websites, please? And we've got a few people having to go now. So unless anybody's got any further questions, I think we should wrap up, and we will be sharing contact details for everyone that's been in the panel. We will share the recording and we'll share all the tips that they've shared as well. So do shout now.
Yeah, there's one question that I've seen that's in the chat, and I've been trying to beaver away putting the numbers together to answer the question. So it's the question here about e-commerce paid advertising. What would you say is the minimum margin needed to have a chance of achieving a positive ROI? We often hear people achieving a 7x ROAS, but if your margin is 15%, you're only just exceeding the break-even point. So, yeah, so the reason why I wanted to answer that is because I've actually been trying to run some numbers on what they would need to be doing to break even and stuff like that. So this is quite a difficult one, but if I'm assuming like their sale price is £10, then the cost of goods is going to be like £8.50. If their margin is 15%, which is going to be like £1.50. So that means for them to run profitable ads, they need to be seeing a ROAS of like 1,064%. That's just to break even. So that's pretty, it like depends on the price of what you're selling the items at. It's a really, really high return on ad spend. So like to get a 30% profit, they've got to be running at a ROAS of like 1,520%. So my suggestions for that would be basically you need to try and do upsells, volume upsells, like sold multiples of the same in one purchase. So you're only budgeting for like one cost per acquisition and then you're selling 2 or 3 of them. Or upsells whereby you are tagging on other bundled products or stuff like that. So again, trying to get your average order value up. Or using the first one as a loss lead basically, and then doing follow-up sales via email marketing, or once they've bought into you, they've then trusted you to be able to make a purchase. But I'd say initially, if you're 15% margin and your cost of goods is like 85%, you've got a really, really high ROAS to try and aim for. So you either need to change the cost of the good or your margins, or try and upsell once they've made a purchase. And I know you refer to people in the question getting a 7x ROAS. That's typically only when people are selling higher items, like so ones that a company that I've seen consistently get that kind of type of return on ad spend were doing like high-end camping equipment or high-end footwear. So because you've got to allow yourself to have the margin to be able to invest into the ad spend to be able to get that kind of return. And I think you ask as well, what's the minimum margin? So again, depends on the price of the product, but I try and do like for the lower ticket items, if it's like £30, for instance, I try and budget for like £10 cost per purchase, £10 for the cost of the goods, and like £10 for profit. So it's like split into thirds. But then that obviously changes. That's an easy way of doing it. But like if it gets the price get higher of the items, then you need to break it down like that. So yeah, sorry to jump in, but I thought having run the numbers, I'd try and share that.
That's amazing. Thank you. Gary said, just plug this meeting on LinkedIn and getting more than 100 views within 5 minutes. So well done, guys. No, it's literally the power of everybody coming together and being collaborative, and we could all support each other. So I think that's definitely key. Right, we've also got another comment. This has been super useful. Thanks to all involved in contributing, organising. Does anybody have any final questions just before we head off? But as